Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Frank.
And today's episode's episode 110, and we're sitting down with Frank's mom, Mary, to talk about her recent Alaska sailing. Let's jump into it.
All right. Well, Mom, welcome back on the podcast.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
I'm making pizzas tonight. So this was my, this is her repayment of my hard work. We've got 8 doughs ready to make tonight. So I said, if I'm going to make all these pizzas, you got to come on and talk about cruising with us. So thank you.
You're welcome. Here I am.
So you just got off Anthem of the Seas. You did a 7-night cruise, very similar to Michael and I's, and we wanted to talk about it. I mean, this is your first time doing an Alaska itinerary. First of all, what did you think of Alaska?
Absolutely gorgeous. Loved Alaska. And actually, it's the first time on Anthem. Never been on Anthem.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into all of your stops. We're going to talk about Anthem of the Seas. It's your first time on that class of ship, and I feel like I was telling you it's pretty cool, and then you were like, yeah, this ship is actually kind of nice. So a little spoiler alert for you guys. But yeah, Mom, let's talk about you getting to Seattle. How was the trip over there? For those that are on the East Coast, it is a little bit of a hassle. Not a hassle, but it takes about, 6 hours to get over there from Atlanta?
Yeah, actually, we made pretty good time going, and going east to west from a time change is not really difficult. Coming back, just adjusting to the time change a little tougher. But, uneventful, got out there. Seattle shined on us. It was beautiful, sunny Seattle, which nothing better than when the sun shines in Seattle. A little chilly, but sun was out every day. Got to see some cool spots in Seattle. So, got in the day before. Great overnight stay.
Yeah, I was about to say, we had some great weather in Seattle, too, during our time there. I think both my times in Seattle, I've had great weather. I know they say it rains most of the year, so...
It does rain a ton there. And I'll tell you but when the sun comes out, it's such a beautiful city. And actually, I'd forgotten how hilly. Like, it kind of reminds me a smidge of San Francisco, because you start out walking and next thing you know, you're trekking and it's like very hilly, but people were great. We went to a great restaurant, went to the waterfront.
And what's interesting about the rain thing is, like, people think, oh, it rains, like it's downpouring every day. They say that it actually gets, like, if you look at the number of inches, one of the least amounts of rain in the country, but it's just because it's constantly raining and it just rains like very little.
Yeah, a little bit every day.
Yeah.
But we were lucky. Like I said, no rain for us. So that was great.
All right, well, like you said, you got in the night before. Now it's boarding day. You had to head up to the cruise port area. What did you think of the terminal, and how was your boarding process?
So, Michael, that is a great question. So I was shocked that we actually shared a terminal with Celebrity, and they were kind of like our shadow the whole entire trip. I felt like it went really smooth, although, like, you go and you pull up and how you do at every port, you give them your luggage, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was just shocked that they did such a good job, because you're so close to all the Celebrity guests, arriving, or passengers arriving. So I'm like, okay, we're in the right spot, right? And they're like, oh yeah, this is good. So then when you come in, same thing with the actual terminal. I don't know how it was for you guys, but again, segregated. Like, Celebrity was literally right beside us, and Anthem, we were on the left. So I was like, okay, that's a little different.
Yeah.
And they also tried to check pretty much everybody in down below, so that everybody, that once you got upstairs, you were done. Like, picture everything, which I thought was interesting. So there was a little bit of a lag there, just because, of course, the volume of people. But it was just, again, interesting that we shared with Celebrity side by side. But other than that, it was pretty uneventful. Got on with no problem. I think we were on by like 11:15.
So you got on board the ship. What was the first things you guys did when you got on Anthem?
Well, because we're the same, I'm pretty methodical in the sense that go identify your muster station, get that over with, check the box. Make sure also that you follow up with your restaurant reservations, just to double check, which thank goodness I did, because, the app, they're still working out the bugs. I think when they nail it, it's going to be great. There are still some snags, so had to make some adjustments in some of our restaurant times and such. So got that done, and then just kind of explored, because I really love the Oasis class. It's my favorite for sure. Well, now, Star coming up, so I may
as of now, it's her favorite.
Yeah, as of right this minute, love the Oasis class. Love the openness of the ship compared to any other ship on the ocean. I mean, really, it's so open and airy, and you know, just love it. You know, of course, this is a different sailing. You're going to Alaska, so they really did a great job utilizing the spaces for being indoor. I mean, I felt like they did a great job with the solarium. Even the back of the ship up top where Windjammer is, having some outside seating, some covered outside seating. So, you know, I was kind of skeptical, you know, so once we started exploring, I really liked the ship a lot. I thought, great ship.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed the ship overall, so I'm excited to kind of hear more of your thoughts when we dive into that part. But now let's go into your room. So you probably headed to your room at one point. What type of room did you book on this sailing?
Yes, so I had a junior suite. It was on the 7th deck, which, you know,
it's close to, like, you're pretty close to the Royal Esplanade there.
Yeah, you are. I loved our suite. Something unique about the junior suites on this particular ship is that, so I was traveling with a friend, so 2 females. Typically the junior suites, like on Oasis class, have, you know, 1 bathroom with a tub shower combination, and, you know, fairly good size, you know, stateroom, nice
walk-in closet,
and a walk-in closet, right? And a pretty large walk-in closet at that. So again, for 2 women, you know, you can change in there. There's plenty of room for your stuff. So this ship is different. It had, as you walk in to the right, was a bathroom that had a separate tub, like nice soaking tub, a vanity with a sink, and then to the left was a walk-in shower with a door, like a real like shower.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool. Now, to right directly across from that bathroom was a like powder room setup, you know, commode, and then vanity, sink. So I thought it was a pretty sweet setup. They still had plenty of room for storage and hanging up of clothes and such, but really liked the layout. Thought it was very nice and unique because you just don't see that.
Yeah, when you were texting me about like your layout of your room and you were like, hey, is this what my layout will look like? It kind of caught me off guard because we're so used to having that huge walk-in closet. So yeah, sounds like you really, do you think you preferred this one? Like if you could put that on your Oasis class, like which one would you choose?
Well, again, you know, I think if you're traveling even with a couple, you know, we girls take a little bit longer to get ready, and, you know, so just having that extra space where you could be in one bathroom and then my friend was in the other getting ready and you had 2 mirrors, 2 sinks. I liked it. I thought it was I mean, again, as long as you have ample room for hanging up your clothes, which we did. So I really liked it a lot. Very pleasantly surprised with how that was arranged.
So at some point it was time to sail away from Seattle. Do you remember what you guys ended up doing for sail away?
I do. We were up at the solarium, and then, of course, we went up to the top deck because it was such a beautiful day, and had a little champagne toast, and just, again, the day was so beautiful, so sailing away was just extra special with the sunshine out, and then had an early dinner since, you know, we were kind of off with our times, and we were at Chops that night. That was like a 6:00 dinner, so... and then, you know, just kind of, again, just explored the ship because it was kind of all new to me. So like the casino, deck 3, it's never deck 3.
Yeah.
So there, you know, there were just certain things. And I know Michael's going to ask more questions about certain parts of the ship, but Schooner Bar, I loved where that was.
Really?
And I love that. I feel like, you know, on Oasis.
I guess Oasis, comparing to Oasis, it's better, right?
Well, yeah, because I feel like it's kind of landlocked in there. You have that, you overlook, you know, so you're on deck 6, right? Yeah. And you have that balcony area, right? Looking out.
Yep.
It can be super loud, which means sometimes you can't hear the entertainment that's in Schooner. And it's a little smallish.
Yeah.
Where Schooner on...
There's a lot more seats on this class.
Oh my gosh. It was always packed. A big, like, kind of squarish, like, well, I should say like almost a horseshoe bar squared off. So lots of ability to get seen by the bartenders and lots of people sitting around the bar. And it was pretty much packed the entire time, but you didn't feel crammed in. It was a very nice space for that particular bar. So I thought that was a great setup.
And it's right by Chops too. So you could grab a drink and then walk into Chops.
Yes. Yes. And it's, also Izumi,
Izumi's right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the deck where all the specialty dining is.
I thought Izumi was a little odd because you're kind of like walking through sections of it. They had tables set out.
We had to sit outside, like in the hallway, like Uncle Mo, when we were eating his sushi or whatever, got like bumped in the back. He's like,
That was kind of different. Like you definitely, I think that might be time where you're like, I'm going to pass on that table.
Yeah,
because it's just a walk.
They just didn't have a lot inside. Like I think the restaurant wasn't really set up to seat a lot of people inside.
Correct.
So then they had to go into the hallway, and it's a walking kind of path. So
for sure, of all the restaurants, it's the smallest venue, I think.
Yeah.
And like on other ships, how they've done Giovanni's, where it's kind of like a walkthrough, which I think does kind of take away. I mean, I get it, sometimes it has to be done, but I felt like Izumi got cheated a little bit on their space because it's usually such a popular venue.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's huge on the Oasis class,
yeah,
especially on Utopia. I know you've been on there twice now this year, but it's the largest Izumi in the fleet because it's one of the best. Everyone loves the hibachi and people love the sushi.
And what a great call by Royal, because, really, I will say in the sense of Izumi, they really had their finger on the pulse because even with that added space, it's always packed.
Oh, yeah.
And also the fact that they have it on the park and, like a pickup, which and again, it's always packed with people and being utilized. You don't see empty tables there.
Yep.
So good call by Royal.
All right, so let's move into some of your itinerary now. Like Frank said, some of the itinerary kind of followed some of ours, and then you had a stop that was different. But your first stop was Sitka. What did you end up doing here for your day?
Yes. So first stop was Sitka. I would say that was our only stop that was a little drizzly, maybe just a little bit cooler. Because, if the sun's out and it's nice, even though you're in Alaska, the water is very chilly. It changes everything. So I would say that was a little bit cooler day, a little drizzly. Weren't really sure what to wear. That's always a challenge. Like, do you just layer? Do you bring your raincoats? So we went ahead and decided to bring our raincoats. Didn't end up needing them. So we got off, no problem getting off. And then we did the raptor and the bear excursion.
What did you think about it?
Well, probably our least favorite excursion of the...
Listen now, I sent you the one me and Scotty did. I
know.
was pushing you to get on that boat.
I know, and we really should have. Honestly, I feel like it was very like, okay, let's just throw this in here so we have something else for people to see here. The story about the bear part, about how actually a hunter decided, to kind of do a cub rescue because they have a lot of bears, obviously, mostly black, but they do have some brown. So if a mother is killed or dies for whatever reason, right? She could be sick, whatever. Then they euthanize the cubs because they just know that there's no way for these cubs to figure it out, right? So this guy was like, well, it's kind of sad that we do that. So if that happens, maybe we could have this little sanctuary kind of thing to... But, quite honestly, the bears that are in there have been there a very long time. They're humongous bears. There's not been any new bears added recently. And they can't be the only ones that... No. So it was kind of sad. Like, are they living their best life? No. I don't know. So you kind of go back to, well, maybe it's better that they just euthanize them if they don't have a mom, So a little bit sad. It wasn't my favorite. And then... the Raptor Center, a little bit better because, there are birds that still can have an okay life. And actually they had several birds. They had some bald eagles, some owls, and, but overall I will say that was not a favorite. I would not necessarily recommend that.
Yeah, it's one of like the bigger things on the list. And I would say if you're going to Sitka, get out on the water. We loved our excursion. And then if you're able to, do a hike. I know that, Michael, you did a big hike. Scott and I did a very easy beginner hike. It's literally just you walk to the end of the town and then you're like in this wilderness. And so if you're able to do those things, I would do that in Sitka because it was just absolutely beautiful. But everyone books that one that you book, Mom. It's one of the more popular ones.
And I'm shocked by that, honestly. Like I wish we would have done a hike, and we were going to be on the water the next time. So we kind of were like, well, maybe we'll see. We thought it was just going to be different, and, but again, don't recommend that. The totem pole thing the history of it is quite interesting, but it is kind of weird in a way. You have to understand the history of Alaska to get the totem pole thing. But So we did take advantage of that. And during that part of it, we did kind of go on like a mile. And I mean, it was not like a real hike, but we did like a mile and a half, 2 miles back and forth, got to cross over a river, saw some really cool salmon swimming upstream to spawn. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That part was great. But again, not my favorite. But Sitka itself was really nice. Yeah. Small town. The people were really, really
Russian inspired, which is really cool. Like everything kind of had like this Russian, they had like a Russian Christmas store. So a lot of like really cool history. We got to walk up to like the fort and stuff when we were there, where they actually like the Russians sold it to the US, I think. So it was really cool. But yeah, to your point, you got to make sure you know what you're getting into when you pick your excursions.
Yeah, and in fact, the Russians sold it to the U.S. for $7,200,000. deal of the centuries. I mean, that's insane. The people were very grateful. I mean, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you go to these small places, no matter where it is in the world, and you know, it's so sad for these people. All these cruise ships land there. Wrong. I mean, these people, especially in Alaska, will be the first to tell you that they are very dependent on tourism and these cruise ships coming in.
Especially there. And also what's interesting is Sitka is one of the least visited. They told us this on the bus when we were going, because you have to take a bus there. They said it's like I think it is like one of the least visited ports in Alaska.
It is, yes.
For cruises. So it is like getting to go there. It's not like a big Ketchikan or even Juneau, where everyone goes. It's kind of like a hidden kind of gem thing.
It is. And we enjoyed our time there. We like, to your point, we shopped at a lot of the little local shops, and every single shop owner was like, thank you so much for coming in. Tried to buy a few things here and there. But yeah, they're very, very grateful that those cruise ships are there.
All right. So you wrapped up your day at Sitka. Your next port of call was Skagway. How did you end up spending your day here in Skagway?
Okay, Skagway was amazing. Had a great day there. The sun came out, and you know it's a big thing again, because everybody's like, "Wow, you got such a great day. The sun's out. It's a great day." And so we did the White Pass Railway train excursion, which was awesome. Loved that. Got to see a lot of the waterfalls, a lot of nature. So. Again, highly recommend those.
It's a couple hours, right? You go up and back.
But you don't really feel it because there's just so much beauty to take in. So we saw a huge mountain goat. I mean, huge.
Wow.
You know, looking at us like he took off. I actually am embarrassed to say my friend made fun of me, because at first I thought it was a bear because the sun was shining. So I couldn't tell. Like it was definitely a goat, but huge goat, and climbed up on the top of the mountain and was staring down at us like, what are you guys doing? Very cool. So lots of birds, lots of eagles, and just the river, the Skagway River, the waterfalls that were coming off the side of the mountain. So that whole time flew by. Like, I think there's a longer train ride.
Yes. If you look online, there's like a 6 or 8 hour one that you can book, but unless you're there the full like 12 hours,
right.
I wouldn't book that. But
yeah, I would have definitely done longer. Maybe not the 8 hour, but I mean, I will tell you, it went by fast. That the tour guide was amazing, pointing out the history of Skagway and the gold rush. Like, that is incredible. Like that little tiny town, which I don't even know how much of a town it was back then, had like 35,000 people come to go up this trail to try to do the whole gold.
Wow.
I mean, crazy.
That's insane.
So, loved Skagway, went to the Skagway Fish House or restaurant. The food was amazing. I mean, you know, there's nothing like getting fresh halibut, fresh salmon. And I mean, just outstanding. Like, doesn't even taste like anything we get here, to me, you know, just very, very good. So again, great day. The train kind of took up most of our day, but I would highly recommend the train ride.
Well, it sounds like you guys made the most of your day in Skagway. You know, Michael, we're going to have to go back and make sure we hit that train because, man, I mean, that's the second you had the Cruising Bear on and he was talking about it, and obviously now we're going to have to do that. So the next day you woke up probably pretty early because you guys were sailing through the Endicott Arm Fjord, and then obviously you did a little spin around by the Dawes Glacier.
Yes.
What did you think about that experience?
Breathtaking. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Of course, a little chilly because you're out there floating in ice water pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
But again, beautiful day we had. A little foggy as we were coming in. Of course, it was early morning, and then it kind of cleared up and it was spectacular. And I feel like the captain really did a great job, you know, maneuvering the ship so that, you know, obviously everybody had the best opportunity.
Yeah, they do a couple times.
Yeah. So absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, you just feel like you're an out of this world kind of experience to see that, and huge big icebergs floating by you, and you're like, yikes. But no, he did a great job, obviously avoiding that, and just spectacular. So we kind of sat out. We ordered breakfast in, like you suggested, and we kind of enjoyed a little bit of a breakfast and just the views that we were seeing, and bundled up a little bit because again, chilly.
Got cold,
yeah, you don't realize like all of a sudden you can be in the same area, but then as soon as you get closer to the glaciers, it drops like 20, 25 degrees. Yeah.
I remember being freezing out there. Scotty and I were trying to get in that hot tub, and man, you get out and you're just so cold in the wind and
crazy. I mean, like I said, the sun was out, but it was still very, very cold being closer to the glacier. But yeah, gorgeous.
So then you guys probably relaxed for a few hours, and probably around 1:30 you started pulling into Juneau.
Yes.
How was your day in Juneau?
Juneau was fantastic. Loved it. I believe it's called Alaska Tales, and Alaska Tales TALES. And so that was our whale watch that we did. So we did kind of a combination. We went to the same company, Alaska Tales, and we booked them through Viator. Very happy with our tour guide and the whole experience. We first went to the Mendenhall Glacier and got to spend time at the park ranger. They have like a observation area and have, bathrooms, and you kind of hike up there. You can hike to the waterfall or hike up there and get great views of the glacier. And Michael, you were there. Did you go like to that area up top?
Yeah, so our day there, we started off, we hiked over to the waterfall first, so we took the little path there, kind of took some videos, pictures over by the waterfall, and then headed back to, like you said, that little observation area and spent some time up there before leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I was so impressed, and it was great to kind of even tour the visitor center up there and just kind of learn about, also like where the glacier was, where it is now is pretty unbelievable. It's pretty crazy. The park rangers were amazing and had lots of info to share with us. It was packed. There were a lot of people.
Yeah.
But again, lots of outside areas. So we walked all around that whole area, got some great pictures of the glacier, saw some kayakers out there. I told my friend, yeah, we should have done that. She's like, no, but it was, cause they get really close, the kayakers and they had come up that some people had just been down there, and I said, oh, how loud is that waterfall? And they're like deafening. Like when you're down there close, as loud as it is when you're kind of far away. I said, gosh, it must have been so loud. They're like, oh my gosh.
Did you guys hear it from where you were standing?
Oh yeah,
okay.
We could hear it. And just takes your breath away. Again, great skies. We have some of my pictures. I caught some blue sky shining through, so you could get that really beautiful blue of the glacier. And when it's overcast, you can't really see that. It just looks like a giant, ice hill.
Yeah.
But once the sun hits it and you can see that beautiful blue light coming through, I mean, it again, spectacular. So they were great. Then coming home,
you guys saw a whale. You did a whale watch.
Yeah. So coming home, but yeah, so we did go to the whale watch. Great boat. We saw, and again, I'm doing like a little plug here for Alaska Tales. We had an all-women crew on our whale watch.
Oh, that's cool.
And they were great. Actually, the main captain was from Maui.
That's interesting.
Which, I spent some time there and had lived there for a short time. And so those whales that we were watching, the humpbacks, come from Maui.
Yeah.
They give birth to their calves in Maui and then migrate to Alaska to feed, because these, they need to eat, right? And they eat tons and tons of fish. I couldn't believe the amounts that they were saying. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, they dive down and eat like the krill and some of the stuff.
Yes, they don't eat what you'd think, right? Because they don't really have a throat. Like it's real. So they almost have to like wash it down. It's really strange. You would think they'd eat gigantic fish. They don't.
No, they just eat a bunch of small
plankton,
stuff off the plankton and
Yeah. So, again, all women crew. They were just fantastic. Our boat was great. They have a great fleet of boats. I will say, looking at some of the other whale watching boats, they are not all created equal.
Nope.
We had a great boat. So we get out to our area, and they're very, very respectful of nature. Like she said, you will see some other boats. We can't control what general, like private open to the public. People do with their boats. We follow the rules, which is, we're to stay, so far back. If the whales approach the boat, the engine goes off and we wait till they leave. We don't approach the whales. And everybody was pretty cool with that. So it started out a little slow, and then we got some action. We got a mama and a calf. And this calf,
That's cool.
he must have had a full belly because he was out there. I have some great pictures I'll have to share with you, but it looked like he was waving. He was on his side. The dorsal fin was like going, and
That's so cool.
and then he was slapping it down. Then he was rolling.
Oh, wow.
And then the mom kind of got into it. So our captain was like, I have to tell you, this hardly ever happens. We see whales, don't get me wrong, but like what you saw today, like this whole show they put on, he was just, frisky and probably had a full belly and was just clowning around. And so, yeah, we got really good close-ups of the mom
awesome.
and the calf. And we kind of stayed because they got close enough that we really couldn't leave. So I feel like we got maybe a little bit extra time because, again, once they get too close to the boat, you just have to wait till they leave you. And he wasn't ready to leave. He was all ready to play and show off.
That's hilarious.
So, and then we had a lot of kids on our whale watch. So, I mean, everybody was just in awe of, the whales and how close we were actually to them.
Yeah.
So great excursion. Can't recommend that enough.
Yeah, so both those excursions sound great. Did you do anything else once you got back to Juneau?
We basically shopped around again. I like to visit the shops, and if we bought a couple of things. Actually, I always like to get some local artwork. This sounds so silly, but every trip Dad and I do, even if it's just a small picture of one of St. John, I mean, just of a local artist that sketches something. And this was a beautiful little picture that I picked up. So did that. Also ate some beautiful salmon at a little fish house there. So Juneau's big. There's a lot to see.
It's a big town.
So, compared to like every place else we've been, it was pretty big. So we were like, wow, this is a big town, because you work your way up. But yeah, great time. And again, great weather. So that was awesome.
All right, well, that wraps up your 3 Alaskan stops on this sailing. Now, you had to hit up Victoria, Canada for the day. I know Frank and I were talking, and we actually really liked Victoria. I kind of wish we had more time there. What did you think of Victoria?
Loved it. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I would for sure go back and maybe even stay like a night or two. We did do an excursion. We did the Butterfly and Bouchard Gardens. The Butterfly Garden, well, it was pretty, but it's not like they are recreating like that tropical environment. Obviously, Victoria is not tropical. So you walk in there and, of course, you're kind of chilly getting out. And then you go into this like greenhouse kind of atmosphere where it's really warm, trying to create a tropical environment, like I said. And there were, it was nice. It was not huge, and there weren't a ton of butterflies. I mean, but what we saw, they were very nice, and it was fine. Not like down in the Keys where they have some beautiful butterfly gardens where it's more their natural kind of environment. Yeah, they were trying to recreate, which I totally get. And then we headed to the Bouchard family gardens. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. Spectacular. I learned that they are like in the top 3 or 5 in the whole world.
Oh, wow.
As a garden.
I did not know that.
And I don't want to quote all the family history, but there is a huge history to this family buying that land and this woman, Mrs. Bouchard, creating this garden in their home and in their area. The
Is
land.
it like kind of like Biltmore for those that are?
Oh my gosh,
like,
I hate to say this, and I'm sure you're going to get lots of people from North Carolina to give me grief about this, but it's better.
It's better.
Oh my gosh, it is just spectacular.
But it's a similar vibe, like an estate plus like a massive garden.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, Biltmore's got him built on the estate part.
Okay,
Not built, excuse me. Biltmore's got him beat on the actual estate part. Because you didn't tour the house or anything. It is 100% about the gardens. But I mean, I had no idea what to expect, and I have to say I wasn't familiar with this particular garden, but if I lived there, I would get a year pass and I would spend time there just walking around. They had a Japanese part of the garden. I mean, you could just walk and see different little corners of this garden.
I bet Bunton loved it because
she
she's
did.
like she has a green thumb, and
she was amazing. In fact, she agreed that as far as like a garden goes, definitely better than Biltmore. I mean, it was spectacular. And they don't allow private tours there. So, and it was something that was important to the family. If they catch somebody coming in that is trying to do a tour of the garden, like they will take them, they'll ask them to leave. So they want people to come in and explore the beauty of this garden without having a guided tour.
So you kind of just get dropped off there, and then you kind of, like, all right, go enjoy.
Exactly. So you have buses coming in and they drop you off, and then it's a self-guided tour. And they were the family very strict about really wanting that people not be like told every little thing about every part of the garden, that you just go out there and in the beauty of this garden and kind of explore it yourself. So I highly recommend that. I will, if we go back to Victoria, that will for sure be on my list. And we did a kind of an evening tour. So we weren't able to go into any of the restaurants or pubs or anything there. We actually were kind of almost late getting back to the ship.
It's like an hour away, right? It's not like super close.
By the time you get there in traffic and all, it was about an hour. But so when we got back to the ship, it was like, and of course still light, which is so weird, but it was like 9:20. Like we were, right
on time.
On time to get on the ship. So, but beautiful, absolutely spectacular.
Well, it sounds like you made the most of your 4 stops on your cruise, and that's really cool, you guys, especially on your last day, getting to get off and do that. It's always sad. But let's go back now and talk more about Anthem of the Seas, especially since you've been on a lot of cruises with Royal, and do a little bit of a comparison. So I know we've talked about this already, but for our listeners, I want to hear about the food. So you did have the unlimited dining package, which means you can eat any of the specialty restaurants on board. You can do Azumi once a day. I mean, you can pretty much eat whatever. They have the pub, which you can do like kind of pub snacks and nachos and burgers and stuff. So let's talk about it. I mean, how did you feel like the food was overall? Where did you feel like you had your best meals? Maybe talk to us about what you thought overall in terms of the food and kind of the dining experience.
Okay, well, here goes. I want to start before I get into the actual food part of it and give a shout out to the crew. I have to say that, never having been on that particular ship, I was very intrigued with the layout, loved the layout. I also loved the crew. I felt like they had many crew members, especially in the restaurants. I'm going to give a shout out to Jane at Jamie's Italian. She's been with Royal for 18 years.
Wow.
She was phenomenal. Same thing. I had the opportunity to partake in Coastal Kitchen, lots of veteran and, Royal Caribbean crew members. So every single experience, whether it be the pub or even Azumi, we had great encounters with crew. So shout out for them. The food, probably the worst I've had on a Royal ship ever. And the whole time it was bothering me. Like I'm like, why?
Why is it so different? And we actually, Michael, we didn't have we've been on Royal ships before, and it definitely felt like it wasn't as good as what we normally see on the East Coast. And I don't know if it's a supply chain thing or, it has to be something with the supply chain. I feel like, because to your point, the crew seemed great. Maybe it was the kitchen staff weren't as good, but for us to have a similar experience on going out of the same port. And it's interesting. And I was telling Scotty when we went out of Seattle, it's a small port. So logistically, you didn't see at Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale or Miami where you have 20 semi trucks kind of lined up. I don't know where they're getting their supplies, what port, if it's in Alaska. I really don't know.
I don't think it's Alaska.
But I don't know if it's actually Seattle either.
I would think it has to be Seattle. I mean, there's no other way. But to your point, everything on the rest of the islands, because they are islands, right? Yeah. In Alaska, everything they get has to be shipped to them.
Yeah,
with the
it might be
exception of
coming
the salmon.
from Canada. I don't know.
I don't know either. But the whole time it was just bothering me. And here's the main reason. I brought a friend that had never been on a Royal ship. And here I was, bragging about the upgraded dining package, and I was blown away. I was kind of borderline embarrassed because she knows I'm a foodie. I had a catering company. I'm very picky. And I said, I promise you, this has never been my experience. So the whole time it was just bothering me. Again, is it supply chain, or where are they picking up their food? Is it for instance, the shrimp was kind of slimy-ish, so it had to be frozen, obviously.
Yeah.
Izumi, I was like, oh, thank God we're going to Izumi. It's usually awesome. Terrible. Worst sushi experience, again, ever had on all of the fleet of Royal. I'm sad for that because, again, there could be plenty of people. There were some honeymooners on their first cruise that we met going to Alaska that are going to think this is the standard, like, quality of food, and it's not. But so, you know, if that's your take and you walk off going, yeah, the food's terrible, which I would have thought that if I hadn't been on so many cruises where the food was great. So huge disappointment. And actually ran into a couple officers, my friend and I, and questioned them. And their response was quite shocking, because they really were like, yeah, well, you know what? It's just the way it is. And, you know, this trip, I mean, you have a lot of people that are going to go on this itinerary and never come back again. I'm like, yeah, but
you could steer them to come back. Like,
yeah, or
sell them on cruising, because that's true. Like, a lot of the people on the cruise are not cruisers, but they're just wanting to see Alaska. But like, if you make a good impression, maybe they'll become cruisers.
Right. And so I was kind of, again, flabbergasted by that comment. And they were pretty adamant that they were just like, well, you know, it is what it is. And so yeah, that's still a little mind boggling for me. I would hope that they would step it up a bit, because I feel like their crew knows that they can do better, because when we complained about some of the food, they were not shocked. Yeah. It did not come as a surprise to them, which means they're in some kind of loop where they know they have a situation with the food not being up to par. And every passenger counts, and every passenger has potential to book another cruise. So if
tell their friends, yeah.
Right. And if food was important to them, they would be like, yeah, don't go on Royal, which is crazy. So hopefully somebody will hear this and say, yeah, we need to step it up, and we need to raise the bar like we have with all of our other ships. So, and again, to your point, maybe it is a logistics thing. Maybe it's just really tough, because they're obviously, I don't think, picking up food at any other port.
Yeah.
So that very well could be the problem, but it was a problem. The good news is the ice cream, you know, the little what's that, sprinkles? That's consistent. Johnny Rockets, we went in. So everybody that's dying for a little ice cream cone on the deck, that was good. Yeah, loved how they incorporated some of the Playmakers menu into the pub, where you can order, I mean, not all of the items, but enough that you can get a little snack when you're in there, nachos and the fried pickles or whatever. So that was nice. Also, we went to Johnny Rockets, which a little bit different setup. No serving, but you can walk in, place your order. There is some limited seating, kind of in an open air design. And that was actually good and quite crowded. People were taking advantage of that. Great location.
Yeah, we had a noodle bar there, so I was bummed. I wish we had Johnny Rockets. I mean, the noodle bar is fine, but that spot where you had Johnny Rockets, I think they had that like an Asian dim sum noodle bar for us. I would have much preferred to have Johnny Rockets.
Yeah, it was actually I would say, don't laugh. I mean, it was probably one of the most consistent restaurants that crazy.
And you said you ate at the main dining room as well.
We had a great meal at the main dining room, probably one of our better meals. And they were we complimented them and said, hey, this has been a little bit rough with the food situation. And they were so grateful. And so that was a great meal.
Do you remember what you ordered for that one?
You're not going to believe this. I ordered the chicken parm, and it was delish.
And she's the chicken parm queen.
Jamie's was not great. They did this weird balsamic. I mean, it did not even look like chicken parm. So yeah, it was good. One other thing I want to touch on that we were just blown away by, and I don't know if you guys had this on your ship, Michael, but you know, I'm a pickleball player. So, you know, up top where the sports center area is, was always, obviously a hopping spot. I could not believe the line for the pickleball courts. I mean, you had serious people that brought their paddles from home, and
we had people that were in matching outfits and paddles. And,
I mean, it was dead dog serious. Like, they're out there and they're like, yeah, we, like only 10 more minutes and we're up. And then there are people like, the line was insane, and everybody was, waiting. We were watching these games, and it seemed to be like not necessarily people that were just getting out there the first time. They were actually out there ready to play. We did not have bumper cars for whatever reason. They were not running, which was no big deal. But wow, I mean, I want to say they had 3 courts.
Yeah, they had 3 courts for us too. Michael's brother and dad played, and we supported them and cheered them on. But again, very wide variety. Michael, didn't they? They lost, and the team that beat them got like killed, and then the team that it was like there was always like a bigger fish situation that was like Michael and his dad are really decent. I would say like a 2-5. I don't know the ranking, but they're really decent. And then they got beat like 11-1, and the team that beat them got beat like 11-3. It was like, Oh my gosh, there's some serious people out here in the pickleball.
Well, like I'm a 3-5 player and I didn't bring my paddle or anything because I wasn't planning on playing, but I did see a wide variety of ability.
Yeah.
But again, when you bring your paddle, that's pretty serious, you know, on a cruise ship. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that whole area I feel like is just a real standout part of the Quantum class ships. Like you said, between the pickleball courts, the bumper cars, I know we had like archery, they did the laser tag there. And pretty much like you said there was a line for pickleball. I mean, really anything. Anytime I walked through there for any of the different activities, there was always a line.
Yes, and same with us. Say any time of the day. Again, back to Quantum class. Great job in how they laid out the ship. And so that, you know, because you can't enjoy a lot of the outside areas due to it being a little more chilly, I thought there was plenty to do for families. We saw a ton of like family reunions. I don't know how that was on your ship.
We had a lot of that too.
But many nights, even in specialty dining, there were tent tops of, you know, like family reunion kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like pretty much everybody had something going on, something to do, lots of really neat spaces in the ship, considering you're having to be somewhat indoors.
All right, so let's move into entertainment now. A little bit different than some of the entertainment you may experience on like Oasis class ships or Icon class ships. One of like the more standout venues on this ship is 270. What did you end up doing for entertainment in the evenings?
Well, we actually saw, we were in 270, a couple of game shows.
Yeah.
We did go to the Love and Marriage show also on a different note, and that was very interesting because they did it during the day. And it was an abbreviated version, but still very good. So they did have the Love and Marriage. I was so shocked that they did. But 270, some game shows, went to the silent disco. That was fun. Yeah, great venue. I mean, you know, you don't have the Aqua Theater. So I thought they did a great job putting on different shows. You know,
I love the food there too. Like we ate a lot of our meals like that breakfast, the 270 cafe.
which is basically like Park Cafe.
Yeah.
That is pretty much their version of Park Cafe.
Exactly.
So just kind of relocated, and then also off that venue for the shows. We saw, what is it, We Will Rock You, which is the Queen, which I thought they did a fantastic job. I mean, you know, my friend didn't know that they, you know, every royal ship that puts on these shows, it is a full orchestra below, which is pretty incredible. Like they're not piping in music off some soundtrack. It is a live orchestra. Yeah. So she was kind of blown away by that.
Did they show some of the orchestra like on the screen at all? Or
at the end, they usually do give them like a little shout out or whatever. But I think a lot of people don't realize that. And she didn't. She's like, really? Where are they? I'm like, well, they're down below in the orchestra pit. So yeah, that was a very well done show. So overall, very, very happy with the entertainment. Again, back just tying in Schooner again, you know, such a big open area that was a hot spot. Lots of music in there and trivia and the scavenger hunts that got a little crazy because people get so competitive. But and then also the pub. You know, what a great area for all kinds of, like they had a little guy that did a little more rock, some kind of country folk music. Always packed as well. And I feel like that pub was even just a little bit bigger.
It was bigger, I thought.
Yeah, maybe because it's open on two sides, which gives you the illusion of it being bigger, you know, but we were there. That was kind of ended up being our favorite place at night to kind of start out before we would venture off to maybe a show. But we really liked the pub and like the bartenders there. And
I actually thought that me and Connie thought that the pub on our ship was some of the better bartenders as well.
Yeah,
actually,
they were friendly. They were happy to be there. We chatted with them, got to know them. So yeah, that was a great experience. So overall entertainment, great. Again, you don't have the Aqua Show, which everybody loves. So, but I felt like every place on the ship there had something to offer in as far as entertainment daily.
Well, on the theme of entertainment, the one venue that you didn't talk about yet is the casino.
Yes.
And this trip was sponsored by the Royal Caribbean Casino. How did you feel like the casino was on Anthem of the Seas?
You know, it was beautiful. I felt like it was large. I didn't know what to expect, quite honestly. You know, the hours are really weird because, you know, when you look at where they're coming, you know, some of the areas, it looks pretty small and they have to be 10 miles offshore.
International waters.
Yeah, international waters. And well, I mean, you're in Alaska, which is,
you're not that far off.
Yeah, you're
land.
not really international.
Land,
yeah. So, I mean, casino host was very nice. Came over, introduced himself to me. I felt like there were days it wasn't very crowded. I really didn't spend very much time in there this trip because we were, daily had excursions and we're off the ship a lot. In the evenings, I would say it was a steady crowd. I wouldn't say it was packed like some of the.
Did you win a free cruise?
I did.
All right.
I did, yes. But I would say it was not as crowded as some of the Caribbean cruises, where you have a little bit larger.
I would agree with that. I didn't think ours was, ours had the slots at night. It was crowded, but like in general, you could get a spot and it was not really a problem.
Actually, I thought they had quite a few tables. I feel like maybe they had more tables than Utopia.
Yeah, that's true. There were a lot of tables on ours. I know I played a lot of craps, and Michael and I did blackjack one night, and we had a good time with that.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, the location is different at 3. You feel like you're down in the bowels of the ship.
You're right by Music Hall.
Yes, and that's another place we didn't talk about. There was constantly great music coming out of there. I mean, they did a couple of game shows also, like I think it was more trivia, like music trivia, but yeah, some really great bands out of Music Hall, and love the location. So yeah, I have only good things to say about Anthem of the Seas as far as how it's laid out and how they utilize their spaces and the locations of some of their venues, such as the pub. And but the only thing was the food. And sorry for anybody listening. Just keep commenting, and maybe they'll listen and step it up a little bit.
Did you do the North Star at all or no?
No, we did not do the North Star, but it was going the whole time.
Were they doing the
is the skydiving working?
They did do the indoor skydiving. That was kind of fun to watch, but we did not partake in either of those. I probably would have done the North Star. There was always a line. I mean, there were a lot of people that wanted to do that. I mean, you basically just go out in that little.
You actually have to register on the app for a specific slot.
Oh, really?
So at port days, it's free, and if you're sailing, I think you pay like $20 to $40. I don't know. It depends what. If you're in the glacier, that's like the prime layer of people that were doing it on the glacier.
I could imagine that.
But
yeah,
it's actually a cool concept to add to the Alaska cruises, because if you're up there and you want to do that, and you're in Alaska, you can't really beat that view being off the side of the ship.
It was always crowded. So I felt there was a steady line, and obviously I didn't know that you made those appointments. So definitely people were showing up for that. Didn't see too many people up at the wave, the flow rider. There were a few.
That's awesome. Michael and I tore that thing up when we were on our cruise, and it's because there weren't a lot of people.
Right.
And the water's heated, so you forget that the water's heated. If you fall, it's pretty warm. I mean, there was a couple of days, Michael, where it was tough getting out of that thing because you're just like, man, it's so cold.
Well, once the wind hits you, and it's like, okay.
But if you want to learn how to flow ride, booking it on like a trip like that and actually going on the trip like that, it's nice because there's not as much of a line. I mean, the maximum line I saw, Michael, besides maybe day one, was 5-6 people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like you said,
really
the worst part was getting out. When you were on the thing, it felt great.
Yeah. And well, actually everybody was saying that too about the pools, because there were quite a few kids on our, it's summertime, and they were swimming like crazy. So I was like, obviously the water's got to be fairly warm for them to be in there. But then when they got in the elevator, like a couple of people got out of the hot tubs, and they were like freezing. They were like, okay, not fun anymore. But, yeah. So overall, great cruise. Again, very impressed with Anthem since I had not been on that quantum class. So want to go back. Dad hasn't been, and he wants to go. So, may do Royal, may pivot,
may try Celebrity or Princess.
May do a Celebrity. So we'll see.
Well, after 7 days of sailing Alaska on Anthem of the Seas, your cruise had to come to an end. How was the disembarkation process back in Seattle?
I mean, no issues at all. I don't know if anybody else has had some of the issues coming into Port Canaveral, Miami. It's been, for some reason, and uncharacteristically so, a little slow with getting cleared, which some people say that's some of the new ice things. I don't know, but a couple of times I was really nervous in Florida making my connection, for a flight. But no, this went super fast. I chose to walk off. Always the better choice, I think, if you can do that. Easy peasy, got off and hopped in a taxi. Was just sharing with Frank, everybody likes Uber. I love Uber. However, there are times, and it seems to be pretty common at the port, where make sure you check with, the downstairs people helping out as you're disembarking, because in this case, the taxi was less money and more efficient than trying to get Uber.
Yeah.
So we hopped in a taxi to,
and they're all right there lined up. And
yeah,
it's super easy. I mean, I think we paid $60 to get
right.
to the
And actually I don't mind, because you kind of spread the wealth, help out the taxi guys too. And so no issues at all. Got to the airport. One thing I will say for people traveling to Alaska, remember they have that no sooner than 3-hour rule. If you get there, they will not take your luggage. So just be mindful of that. If you're booking, if you get there prior to 3 hours, you have to sit there with your luggage. They won't take your luggage that early. So that's kind of a little side note. And there were several people.
Oh, we were like that, Michael. Remember we had to wait, what was it? Maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours before the flight. You have to wait a little bit longer. And we rushed off, got off really early. And then we were just sitting there waiting. I think I grabbed a Starbucks and was like, time to kill. Might as well grab some Starbucks. And
they do have that Starbucks down in the bag. Yeah. So and I guess people want to be, obviously conservative and give themselves enough time, but just know you can't go upstairs if you can't check your luggage.
So it might be a good port to probably just, if you don't want to carry off and rush off, give them your bags and just stay on the ship, longer if because you're either going to wait on the ship or you're going to wait at the airport, either way.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. You could actually just wait and kind of be one of the last groups off.
Yeah.
It's always that, balancing. You don't want to cut it too close, right? Because then of course when you wait till the end, there's a lot of congestion by Uber and taxis.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
It's just, you kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons. It's not the worst thing getting coffee at the airport at Starbucks. So.
Well, it sounds like you had a great time on your 7-night, your first time going to Alaska on Anthem of the Seas. And I'm excited. Maybe one day we'll get to go and do it as a family with Scotty. That would be an awesome, awesome trip. But hey, we have a cruise coming up, our annual mother-son cruise. We're going to be on Star of the Seas in just about a little less than a month. So we got our hotel booked. We got an invitation this past week to go to the naming ceremony. Diana Ross. Is it Diana Ross?
Diana Ross, the legendary Diana Ross.
She's going to be the godmother. They'll be doing the naming. I think they said the first day that you need to dress in cocktail attire and bring it on so that you make sure that you actually have it there for the naming ceremony. So I'm excited. I've never been on an inaugural cruise, especially I know Royal does it really, really well. I think we'll get some stuff. They usually give out some stuff that says inaugural Star of the Seas. And yeah, we'll get to see the shows. I'm pumped about being able to see Back to the Future.
Yes.
And that's going to be incredible. And they've already been teasing how awesome, just simulating a car and just all this stuff. It looks really, really cool. Obviously, the new Aquadome Market options, just seeing some of these small tweaks. I mean, the class is amazing. Michael, I can't wait for you to get to experience it, but it's just it's like nothing you've ever been on before.
For sure. And super excited to see, to your point, the small little tweaks that they've made as upgrades. We know there's going to be more hot tubs because we talked about that on Icon, how they were kind of being conservative from a weight situation, and then realized they have a little more wiggle room. So yeah, very much looking forward to all the little tweaks that they've made to improve from Icon, because Icon's pretty spectacular. So it's going to be interesting to see where they thought they could improve just a little bit.
And then Legends coming out next year. Scotty and I are booked on that one in Europe, which will be insane. But yeah, Mom, I'm pumped for our 3-night cruise. We probably will go live, so make sure that you follow us on YouTube at Cruise Conversations Podcast if you want to see us. We're trying to figure out the timing, so we'll get that posted so you guys can see when we're going to be going live. Maybe we'll do it at Coco Cay. I think there's just one sea day in Coco Cay, so we may do it. I think Coco Cay would be a good day to do it since it's only 3 nights.
Because we're not even sure we're going to get off. We may just take that time and let everybody else get off and have more time.
I feel like a lot of people will be in the same boat with us, that they love Royal, that's why they booked this, and that they're probably not going to get off. So I think it will be one of those days where we enjoy the ship. But looking forward to that. I can't believe that's our next cruise. And Mom, thanks for coming on. Enjoyed talking about Alaska. And like I said, we'll have to all get back there. I think it's an every 3-year kind of situation. I thought it was going to be a one and done, but for me, it's definitely a repeat cruise destination.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. And hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, loved having you on. That's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks to Mom for coming on and doing a review of her Alaska cruise. If you're interested in booking your next cruise with us, make sure you reach out. You can check us out online at cruiseconversationspodcast.com. You can also send us an email at cruiseconversations@gmail.com. You can also just text us at 704-313-8556. With that, look forward to seeing you back here next Wednesday.